Hey guys, it's Matt with Mix Coach here, and today I want to talk about the Auto Dynamic EQ from Melda Production. And I know for one thing, I was really excited when they converted everything to AAX because that brought some really good tools to us Pro Tools users that previously before couldn't use them. And uh, in particular, this module has been a joy to use so far, and it comes with the usual Melda Production stuff. If you're familiar with them, you get free updates for life, and the user face customization options are. I don't know any other company that lets you customize an interface as much as you can with them. Um, so if you're into that kind of thing, I mean, you can create your own vibe and workflow completely, and uh, it's cool. It's pretty cool. And but for me, especially when it comes to an EQ, it's how does it sound? That's the most important thing. And there's a lot of filter options, and all of them really do sound good. And we're going to take a listen to some here in a minute. But also, this has a great analyzer and sonogram, spectrogram on it that I really like. And one thing I particularly like about the analyzer is as it's playing, it'll show you the actual notes and frequencies that are peaking. Let's just play back. Let's see, I have it on the piano here. See, it's showing you where peaks are. As you'll see over here, you can look at the waveform. You can change that and look at different levels. And then crazy parameters over here, all kinds of modulation effects you can add to get creative. But in this context, in this review, I'm strictly looking at the EQ and how it sounds. If we click here, you'll see there's tons of different filtering options for you to choose from on each of the 7 bands, with just tons of different parameters that you can tweak. I mean, you can, at times, that might be one of the downsides, because sometimes, you just want to be quick and gritty, and you can be with this, but you have to allow yourself to be, because there's so many tweakable parameters. You can get lost pretty quick in overthinking something. That's probably the only downside for me to this plugin, is I can sometimes kind of get lost because there's so many features. And the only other thing that I've found that's a little iffy for me is the automatic gain compensation can be off sometimes, which it's hard to find a good automatic gain compensation, especially on EQs that really nail it. And this one does a good job at it, but there's some sources where if you're doing some rather radical things, sound shaping, it can be a mile off. And oh yeah, another thing too on this has a soft tube-like saturation that you can adjust in and out of the signal all the way up from 0 to 100%, and it's really a smooth sounding distortion that for me is worth the price alone. With just the EQ, and that would have been worth the price, but all these other features are great. Let's take a listen to the mix in context here, and then I will bypass some of these EQs and we'll look at it a little further.
Lord, you are to me my everything. I receive your mercy with every breath I breathe. I never.
As you can hear there on the band, I was bringing it in and out as a group, and you can hear that it was really cleaning up the mix. And really, for the most part, I'm just using their excellent high-pass filters, and their notch filters really good on this too. For like on this guitar, it was cut in a small ISO booth, and there was a little bit of a resonance down low, and this cleaned it right up. We'll take a listen to that. As you can hear, it's just very sweet sounding filters. No weird ringing or um, phasiness. Even with steep filters, and this thing goes all the way up to 120 dB per octave slope, and it stays pretty natural till pretty high. And then things can get a little hairy sometimes, but I mean that's to be expected with that kind of filter slope. Um, let's see. Yeah, the other feature of this, which I'm really not highlighting in this video, I'll probably do that in another video. But the actual dynamic EQ processing is wonderful. You know, because for me, I'm a huge fan of dynamic EQ over multiband compressors because I don't like the crossovers being in the signal chain. I feel it adds a color to it that I don't like, and these sound much more natural because you're not using crossover filters for the actual compression. And that, you know, you get 7 bands of that. You can EQ normally and then bring in dynamic EQs to control, you know, peaky vocals, to control lower mids that may, you know, in softer passages you want to accentuate those, but then when they're really belting it, you can bring in that dynamic EQ and pull those lows out, and it's really very effective. And another feature on this EQ too that um, a lot of plugins aren't so good at is oversampling, and I feel that they've done a good job with their oversampling. Sometimes it doesn't sound as good. I get the theory behind it and what they're trying to do, but I think good oversampling must be quite an art to get down, and I think they've done a good job of it. And I run these and 4 times oversampled, and on several of them, and you'll notice the CPU hit is not bad at all. And if we go over here, tons of options for what you're wanting to do. Process left and right, left or right only, mid or side only, mid and side. There's tons of different combinations of, so I mean you're pretty limitless there. And also it has a safety limiter on it that you can engage to help you from clipping, which is pretty handy. And like with all Melda Production stuff, there's tons of MIDI learn capabilities that you can do to control automation parameters. So overall, this EQ is really fantastic as an EQ. There's tons of features beyond that that are very useful. It's just one thing I say to watch out for is it can be almost too tweakable at times. So always keep that in mind, that it's about the music and not so much all the toys. Other than that, I mean, great saturation algorithm, great filter, great sounding filters, lots of filter options, good analysis tools built right in, and then really cool, neat modulating stuff and extra meters over here and stuff that show you um, your signal more in depth. So go check them out, download a demo, um, and you know, hopefully it does something for you. And I certainly know it's quite a Swiss Army knife with all the different other things it can do other than just EQ. And it's a one-stop shop for a lot of things. If you don't have a good analyzer, the analyzer alone is actually a really good analyzer, and you can use that. Uh, but really, I mean, if you don't have a dynamic EQ, I highly recommend it for that as well, because if you do a lot of multiband compressing, I think you would rather switch to this method, because I promise you, in the end, it's going to sound better. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, guys. Great stuff from Melda Production. They're always coming out with new great tools. I can't wait to see what they come out with next. And until next time, guys, happy mixing.